Hi, I'm Neil White. I'm the author of the forthcoming Creative Words, which is a collection of poetic reflections on creation, creativity, and the power of words. And, there's something magical when we think about the act of creation, the creating of something that didn't exist before. The reality of creativity, that combination of imagination and possibility and the gifts of intelligence that we have and what we see out there in the world around us, and bringing all those things together to see something new. And there's something magical about both the spoken and the written word. And so, to me, this collection tries to point to a lot of those things. How, for example, words can paint pictures in our minds, open new possibilities, reveal another's thoughts and feelings. And sometimes those words, once they go forth, they take on a life of their own. Storytellers will use words to invite us into a world that now exists in our shared imagination. When you open a book, it invites you into something that the author imagined and now is, by the magic of a print or by the magic of somebody telling it, transmitting that into your imagination. And one of the things you'll find about a lot of the poems in this collection is they are stories. They are short little self-encapsulated stories that point to something and invite you into them. Scientists use words to try to describe our cosmos. And Creative Words, and being a collection that talks about creation, also has a lot of things that try to point to events in our cosmos, whether events in the sky or things around us. They are my own attempts to try and help understand this world that we live in. Preachers, which I am one. Preachers use words to invite us into an experience of the divine. Now, I don't expect that everybody who reads Creative Words is going to be religious or Christian or anything else like that. And many of the poems that are selected for this collection are not specifically religious in nature, but they are a part of my own searching in that respect, and for searching for something that is often bigger than the way in which we talk about faith. I'm reminded of Christian Wyman, who will talk about, there are a vast number of people who want to believe in this something that is bigger than it, but are just really uncomfortable with the way in which the church has restricted that language throughout time. And so this is my small contribution to that as well. Sometimes words are just words. Sometimes they merely describe, they're a way of taking what our senses experience and encoding them so that we can transmit them to somebody else so they can understand what we're experiencing in our own mind. But other times, words do what both Judaism and Christianity talk about words doing in the beginning. They create things which didn't exist previously. They invite our imaginations to envision new worlds, concepts, and possibilities. So, broadly speaking, Creative Words is a collection of poems, a small collection from the poems that I've written over the last 8 years. And there was a lot I did not include in this collection. So the ones that I did include in some way speak to that relationship between creativity and creation, inspiration and wonder, fascination and feeling. Each poem's starting point and each poem's ending point is different. They can begin in as simple of things as looking at a piece of artwork or hearing a song or overhearing a conversation. Some are reflections on ideas. Some are reflections on experiences lived. Some are trying to capture emotions felt in the moment. Some deal with psychological or philosophical or theological ideas. And they're trying to wrap words around the experiences that we have of ourselves in the midst of this world that we live in. As I mentioned before, I am a preacher. I am a person who's deeply formed by my faith. And while as I was collecting these poems, I was not looking for ones that were religious. I didn't want to push my faith on anybody else. There are times where my faith and the ways in which I'm formed, the tradition which I've learned to love deeply and delve deeply into, begin to bubble up within the poetry. The words, for example, in the title poem, creative words, are deeply formed by the language of the scriptures that I love. But ultimately, these poems are a part of my own search for something deep and expansive in my relationship with the world, with other people, and for me also, with God. So trying to collect the poems that make up this collection was like herding cats, or like trying to direct a large group of disobedient children. And while the process of this left most of what I've written either for other collections down the road or to remain permanently on the cutting room floor, I do think there is definitely some commonality in these poems for me, in their engagement with creativity, imagination, myth, wonder, feeling, art, expression, some curiosity around words. Each of these have brought joy or enlightenment to me in their birth, and they're not like my two physical children, Aaron and Jay, but there is an element that, again, as a person who participated in their creation, I feel some pride in what they've become. And like children coming of age, it's time to release them into the world. And anytime you publish something, it's no longer just yours. It's times that they get to enter into conversations with strange human minds, some who I know and some who I don't. But ultimately for me, the creativity of a poem doesn't stop when the creative inspiration takes it from my mind or another poet's mind and puts it onto paper. Much of it happens between the pages and you, the future reader. So, as you meet these creative words, I hope that they awaken some of the wonder, some of the curiosity, some of the joy, some of the feeling, some of the possibility in you that they did for me. If you're interested in learning more about creative words, I invite you to stay connected wherever you're seeing this, whether it is on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whether it's on my blog, Sign of the Rose. I would also invite you to check out either my blog, signoftherose.com, or ne-white.com, and there'll be more information on when and where creative words will be available. Basically, it's going to be available everywhere. You may not be able to go to your physical bookstore and pick it up off the shelf because, well, they have a limited space in which they stock things, but it can be ordered from any bookstore. It can be ordered from Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever you buy books. There are also many poems that did not make it in this collection that are on my blog, Sign of the Rose. And if you're interested, I invite you also to go check those out there. So you can go to Sign of the Rose and then click on the poetry option on the side. Thank you for listening. I am excited to share more of this with you. I will be sharing 10 poems over the coming weeks to help introduce some of the different styles and some of the different things you can experience in creative words. And then, again, it's going out into the world. and it's going to encounter strange new minds, and I hope that you love it. Thank you for listening.